Hello and welcome back to the channel. In the last video, we talked about what programming is in general. Then we talked about a brief introduction to Python, its uses, advantages, as well as disadvantages. We also installed Python interpreter as well as PyCharm software, which is basically an IDE, which means it's a editor software application that provides user interface and lets user to develop their software and run the code. But what we did not do is we did not open these software applications that we installed, or nor did we see what they were going to be used for. So in this video, I'll show you where we can find them on our computer, open them, and how we're going to be using them. So to find them, there's multiple ways. One of the easiest ways to just navigate to the folder directory where you install it. In this case, I have under program files, JetBrains folder. And then from here, open the executable file. Um, Another way is to go to your start menu. If you have newly installed program, they usually populate on the top left here. If you don't have them, you can just scroll down under Python, um, and you can see here I have Python 3.10 installed, as well as PyCharm. So if you look under Python, it already has a built-in idle, which is basically also an IDE which lets you create your code and store and run them. Um, idle, it comes built in when you install Python. It's basically a simple and basic IDE version, which is mainly used by beginner level developers. My personal preference is PyCharm, so in this video, I'm gonna provide you in-depth or a little bit detail about features of PyCharm. So let's open PyCharm. When you first open PyCharm, and if you have never opened it, um, if you already had a project open, it's going to be something like this. You can close projects and open them here. But if you open PyCharm for the first time, you're not going to see this list here. You can go to customize and change the appearance if you want to. But go back to project and hit the new project button. Whenever you create a project, I highly recommend you to provide or give a name that makes more sense and gives you an idea on what the project file is going to be about. So in this case, I'm just going to run a test demo here to show you guys. So I'm just going to write my project file as project test file, test one, and then hit the create button. It will take a while to populate all of virtual environments. Indexing, it will add. Right now it says no interpreter. It will add the interpreter, and then load your main.py file by default, which is created by default when you create a new project. So as you can see, when you open a new project, the big chunk is the editor at the center of this window. On the left, you can see the directory and the files under this project. Project test one. The virtual environment is a library root under which you have the main.py Python file currently. You can close this Python file and create a new one, or you can simply delete everything here and edit the same file. For now, I'm just gonna let it stay here. Right-click under the project name. Under new, you can go to Python file, and then create a test file here, um, and hit enter or choose this Python file button, and it will create an empty test.py file. Now, what we did is we just opened an empty file. There's nothing in it, so there's no error. It's showing a green check mark. However, as you start typing, it will suggest what you want to type, or what it thinks you want to type. In this case, I want to type a print statement. So it's suggesting everything that it is thinking that I'm highly likely to type. So as you type, it will show you a pop-up of suggestions. If it is the one you want, you can just hit enter, and this way you will reduce typing mistakes or incorrections while you type. Um, And when printing, you need quotations on and the string that you want to print. So I'm just printing namaste here. And to run, you hit this green arrow. Right now, I have the main file that is, it thinks it's, I want to run because it was, when I created the project, there was only the main file there. Even if I close this main file, this is still gonna stay here. So I can, if you want, you can go to edit configuration and remove this main file, or you can right click on this tab here, or anywhere inside the editor, and then click the run green button, and it will run um, and show you the output. The only statement we have is the print statement. That's why it is running without error, although there's a warning. It's a weak warning, so it will still execute and show you the output. There are certain things that I wanted to show you under the main menu at the top, and a few shortcuts. One of them is the settings, and the shortcut is Control Alt S. Under setting, you can go to appearances and change the font size. Um, there are two different fonts or two different settings that are involved. This is only going to change when you hit the apply button. This is only going to change the font size of the IDE text like that, but it's not gonna change the font size inside your editor or even the output of when you run. So let's go back and change this back to what it was or what you want it to be. I'll put it back to 12, apply. And if you want to change the font size inside the editor or the output window or the output run tab, I think you have to go to editor font and then change the size here. So let's say um, I want small text on my editor as well as output, because this is not important to me. Um, and then I can reduce that number, hit apply, and then both will reduce. But for the sake of this video, I'm just gonna go back to 12, apply, and then hit the cancel button and exit out from that menu. Another thing I wanted to show you is the appearances. You can choose one of these presentation modes, Zen mode, full mode, or distraction free mode. My favorite is Zen mode, which lets you um, only see the code and nothing else here. If you hit the top, uh, the menu bar will slide down again. You can go back to appearances and then exit the Zen mode by just clicking exit Zen mode, and you will bring you back to the original mode. So like I showed you earlier, when you double click any file, it would open on a different tab. So that's easy way to switch between these two tabs. And you have two different codes here. This is very helpful because later on when you start building bigger projects, you want to write codes or separate different functions into different files and switch between files and one import code from one file into another file and build your bigger projects. Another thing I wanted to talk about is the warnings and the errors. Right now there is no error; it only shows one warning, which is like I said, a very weak warning. So you can ignore that. The only warning it's showing is because it's missing um, space line or empty line at the end of the file. So all you had to do is press enter, provide that space, and this warning will go away. When you click anywhere, it will go back to this green check mark and you're all set. But if you start typing something that it doesn't recognize, it will start showing you that warning with a red exclamation. And right now it shows 5 errors. You can move between those errors and see what they mean and where they are. Um, you can also hover over this red mark and it will show you all the list of all the errors that are present. And uh, once you clear out all those errors or fix them, this will reduce and go back to 0 with the green check mark back again. So um, another thing I want to quickly show you is how to comment out some lines. Let's say I have multiple lines here, um, and then these lines are giving me errors. I want to quickly comment this out with control question mark. Select those lines that you want to comment out, and you're back to the green check mark because all those errors have been commented out. Basically, what commenting does is Python, when you run this code, it will ignore those comment um, scripts, even if they are still in the file. They're just going to ignore when it runs, and the only statement it will run is the print statement. So when we run this, we'll still get the same output. Another way to comment is select multiple comment. Another way to comment multiple lines easily is to select those lines and then put them under shift triple quote. So let's control Z and go back here, uncomment these, and then when I select all of these and put them under triple double quotations, it will comment all these, and I still get the green check mark. I can still run them, run the same test file, which basically have a lot of comments now, and just a single statement is still the print statement, which prints the text that I wanted to print. Adding comments makes your code very readable to yourself as well as to other people. You can divide your code into different chunks and then comments each chunk and say what that chunk uh, is related to. So let's say um, I press Control D here to duplicate all these statements, and then I add a space line to make it more readable. Now what I want to do is add a few comments lines. So here I want to add a comment saying printing a statement, and then let's say this chunk is just printing a statement, and then I want to add another comment here saying printing other statements. And then when you come back to this code, open this file later, I know this part is doing something, and this comment is telling me what it does, and then this comment is telling what this chunk is doing. So spacing out indentations and commenting your code into different sections and then putting them under different comments. These are a recommended way that will make your code more readable to yourself and to other people who come and read your code or try to help edit your code later on when you. So just to recap, so far we have installed Python interpreter and PyCharm to edit and build our software. And then we briefly showed you around the features of PyCharm, and we created a text project with a test.py Python file in it and ran a sample code and saw an output. In the next video, um, I will introduce you to different variables or types of variables and constants and how we can assign values to those variables. So stay tuned. Please like, subscribe, and add your comments on what you like and what you dislike or what you want to see in future videos. I'll see you soon. Thank you.